Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. I'm the author of the blog, The Simple Home Place, and today I want to share with you how to make reusable bowl covers. Okay, so before we get into the tutorial, I just want to go over a couple of things that I like to use these reusable bowl covers for. They're great to have in the kitchen, especially if you are trying to be more green and not use single-use plastic items. You can buy these bowl covers in a plastic version and you can wash them a couple of times, but ultimately they go in the garbage. And so this is a more sustainable option for you. Or if you just want something pretty in your kitchen, this is a way to kind of spruce things up a bit and make it look a little bit nicer. And these are also great instead of using like a tea towel or something, which I use still, but these are just a little bit more convenient and seal it up, any bowl that you're putting them on, seal it up a little bit better. So I'll show you really quickly. I have some sourdough English muffins rising, and so I'm using it for that. It's great. Any of like fermented, well, I shouldn't say that. I use it for my sourdough starter. So I will feed my sourdough starter and then put one of these reusable, actually like a smaller one, on top of a jar or whatever container that I have it in. It's great for rising dough. So a lot of times I'll do it for my pizza crust, obviously dough like this. And then if you're making cookies in your stand mixer especially, or really any bowl, and you need to refrigerate your dough, you can just pop this on and then put it in the refrigerator instead of using plastic wrap. So they're very versatile. I use them for, like, right now it's really buggy, and no matter how clean I keep my house, I still have gnats and stuff that inevitably get into my kitchen. So I have like a bowl of garlic that I have put one of these on that's sitting on my counter. Yeah, so many different uses. And again, it's a more sustainable option than using the single-use or couple-use plastic items. So yeah, let's get into the tutorial. It's pretty easy to make. You definitely, if you're more of a beginner, you've been doing sewing for a little bit, but it's really not that hard, and hopefully everything that I show you will break it down really nicely. But let's get into the tutorial on how to make these bowl covers. So to start off, you're going to need 2 layers of a cotton fabric, and we will be placing them right sides together. So if they have a pattern, the pattern goes together, and I've ironed it and everything. And then you'll take whatever bowl you want to use. Now, I'm not actually trying to cover this pot. I'm actually making one for my mom, and the bowl that she had matched up with this pot. But anyway, take whatever bowl you want, place it on your fabric, and then we are going to measure out 2 inches from the edge of the bowl all the way around. So you can see I made marks, and now I'm just going to connect all of those marks. Now, once you have your circle drawn out, and don't worry if it's not perfect, that's okay. What I like to do is place pins all the way around the inside of the circle just to keep the fabric together while we're cutting it out and sewing it. It just helps, like I said, to keep it all together and keep the fabric from shifting. And then I just used my rotary cutter to cut out that circle. And now we're headed over to the sewing machine. So what I like to do is I'm going to line the edge of the fabric up with the edge of my presser foot. And we are going to sew a front and back stitch at the beginning and end. We're going to sew all the way around our circle, but we are going to stop and leave about a 2 or 3 inch gap. And this gap or opening is going to allow us to turn our bowl cover right side out. So here you see I'm leaving that opening, and I'm going to forward and backward stitch there, and that will complete this step. So I've removed all of the pins, and now I'm going to take my scissors and go all the way around the edge of the bowl cover and cut notches. Now, it's hard to see on this, but you will have where you stitched, and then there will be a little bit of extra fabric hanging over the edge, and that's where we're going to cut those notches. And basically, after we turn this right side out, those notches are going to allow that seam to really lay nicely instead of being bunched up in spots. So what I did is I turned it right side out, and now I'm just taking a crochet hook and I'm pushing out that seam. You can see there, so it lays really nice and flat. And you can use any blunt tip, the end of a scissors if you're really careful, whatever you've got. It doesn't have to be a crochet hook, but I'm just going all the way around. And you can see by doing that, it really helps it lay nicely. And now where that opening is, I'm just going to tuck the little fabric in there so everything lines up nicely. And then we are going to take it back to the sewing machine. And now we are going to stitch a 1/2 inch seam. And this time, again, we're going to go forward and backward stitch at the beginning and end. And this time we will not be leaving an opening. You are going to sew all the way around. And what we're doing is creating a channel where we're going to add our elastic. Now it's onto elastic, and I'll be using a 1/4 inch braided elastic. I got this at Joann's, but you can get it pretty much anywhere. I'll leave a link down below if you want to check that out. And then we're going to wrap it around the bowl that we're making this cover for with some tension. And honestly, I haven't gotten this part down to a science because I always have a couple inches left over. So if you want to play it safe, just leave it as is. Or if you want to save on elastic, cut off maybe 2 to 4 inches. But what I'm going to do now is I placed a safety pin at the end of the elastic, and we are going to feed the elastic through that channel that we created. And how you get it is there was still that opening that we left. And so you feed it through there, and we're going to just go all the way around. Then once you fed all of your elastic all the way through, you're going to still make sure there's some tension and cut off the excess. And like I said, I don't have it down to a science, but I'll be able to use that elastic for something else. But we are going to cross the ends of the elastic over each other. And I like to just hand sew this, and it does not have to be pretty because no one's going to see it. You could also use your sewing machine for this, but I just find this easier. And I'm just going to go through and make sure it's really nice and secure so we don't have the threat of it coming apart. And then the last step in this whole tutorial is where that opening is, we need to stitch that together. And it can be a little bit hard, so you might need to put a pin in there, but then I'm just going to do what I think is called a top stitch. I don't know all the terms, I just do things I see and have learned, but we are going to top stitch that very carefully. Then you just snip off the ends of the thread, and that's it. You have made yourself a reusable bowl cover. One thing that I forgot to mention is that you can also make these reversible. So I'm just using the same fabric for both sides, but you could definitely use different fabrics so that you have 2 different looks. And here it is in action. They're pretty easy to get on. And a lot of times if you make one for a specific size bowl, it will work for other bowls. I like to have all different sizes on hand because I do use them all the time. These make really great gifts as well. It's July right now, so you have plenty of time to get started if that's something that you want to gift. I think a lot of people could get a lot of use out of these. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. I also have a blog post that goes with this, so you can go ahead and check that out. I'll leave a link down below, and that just goes step by step, just like we did in the video, but it's written out if you prefer to learn that way. So anyway, thank you again for being here. Thanks for spending time with me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.